Well, the time is finally here. We have taken a short break. It feels like it's been a real long break, Garrett, that we haven't
Yeah.
done some shows. It's been about a month, I guess. We had to take a break after the Delta Waterfowl Expo, but we are back now and we have a very special guest with us. Before we get to our guest, Cam, run that intro and let's start episode 5 of season 2. So a nice short little intro there. We had quite a bit of a longer one for season 1, but now that we're in season 2, we shortened it up a little bit because all of the viewers want to see our special guest. And this week we have got Miss Maggie Williams with us. Maggie, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me.
So everyone that's watching this right now are gonna watch it. They think the same thing we do. We think you're on an airplane, but you're not on an airplane. You're sitting in your driveway right now, right?
That is correct. I'm not in an airplane. That'd be a lot cooler if I was. But I have drove 13 and a half hours today. So I'm not kidding when I tell you I just stopped at a gas station on the way, pulled out all of my podcast equipment, plugged it into my center console just because I knew I could not make it in the house and jumped on here in time. So
Well, we appreciate your dedication for making this deadline. We know how busy you are.
I feel terrible. I'm hard to get a hold of, and I have a crazy schedule, and you guys have worked with me, so thanks for having me.
Well,
Yeah.
we just appreciate you taking the time for us because I mean, we're gonna hop into it here in just a minute. I mean, there's so much we want to get to, but you're kind of a big deal, so I'm sure you're pretty busy.
Well, I'm honored. I wouldn't call myself a big deal, but I am very busy, so thank you very much.
Well, we need to preface this episode with this is our first female guest.
Yes, it is.
So you should feel
Yes, it
honored.
is.
I am honored. I had no
Yeah.
clue. Hey, I
You
like
will
that.
always be our first female guest. Now, we do have plans to have some more females on here because, unlike some other males in the outdoor industry, we want to hear from the women of the outdoors.
This is
So,
only the beginning.
yeah,
That's right. Hey, the blind is for the girls.
that's right. But you will always be the first. So we appreciate you for breaking the barrier.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
Well, hey, let's just start off for everyone that doesn't know you. Why don't you just kind of tell everybody a little bit about your background, where you're from, and kind of I don't know if we want to call it your claim to fame because you've done multiple things, but kind of just start us from the beginning, where you're from and who you are.
I am from Piggott, Arkansas. I live in Jonesboro right now. I am an online college student at Arkansas State University. I am a social media marketing major, which is very convenient.
Yeah.
I guess you could say my claim to fame is I was Miss Arkansas Teen USA way back in 2019, and my platform was female involvement in waterfowl. And so I did not have a platform on social media originally, and by advocating for that, it blew up overnight. So that's kind of my claim to fame. I've been duck hunting Arkansas public timber since I was 10, and I haven't slowed down since. So
And so, I mean, of course, that's just your first claim to fame because now you're famous in the outdoor industry. I mean, we've been following you.
well, thank you. Thanks for keeping up with me. That's very flattering.
Pretty hard to keep
we're
up with
fans.
you. Yeah, pretty hard to keep up with you.
Well, thank you so much for keeping up with me. I appreciate that.
And so you talked about kind of the outdoors and back when you were doing the pageants and stuff or whatnot. Is that what they're called? Pageants?
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Okay,
That's
okay,
right.
okay. Back when you were doing pageants, I mean, what did you do for your talent? Did you blow a duck call?
So the Miss USA competition does not have a talent portion.
Oh, okay,
Thank the
okay.
Lord. But now I would for sure. If the
That would
It
be
would have
pretty-
been a duck call.
That would be
Right,
pretty
yeah.
pretty cool.
I would for sure blow a brook. Ain't no doubt.
So you're from Arkansas, small town. You grow up, you're a pageant queen. You get there of that age. So you get into college, and how does this whole whirlwind of you getting into what you're doing now, the outdoor industry with with all the things that you're doing, and we're gonna hit on each one of them. But how did you even get into that path?
So I'll be honest with you. I love outdoors. I've always loved hunting. My dad had two daughters, did not have a son, thank God. So he just took me everywhere with him. I became his little shadow, and my dad was, I mean, there for the good days of Arkansas. He's 53 years old. My grandpa's in his 70s, and they've been hunting the same WMA for their entire lives. And so it was just natural for them to bring me along. So I've always just wanted to be outdoors, always wanted to be into hunting. And by the time I got in high school, my mom was really concerned whether or not I'd graduate because I just wanted to go hunting. I didn't want to show up. And as a miracle, I graduated high school and I got into college and loved Arkansas State. But I realized very quickly that life on campus was not for me because I just couldn't take off and go hunting all like I wanted to. So I transitioned to online, and I have literally been on the road ever since.
So you said you got started hunting when you were 10 years old, and you were hunting with your dad. So your dad must have been a pretty passionate waterfowler,
Absolutely.
and that's what sparked your interest.
Absolutely, yeah. So my dad and Papa, they were a part of the Piggott Duck Club, as they call it, and
I'm not gonna lie, I had to look up Piggott and see where it was.
Ouch. That's where y'all out of, first of all?
Well, we're in Texarkana now.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all are Westies.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
Westies.
Way
Westies for the besties.
That tells me all I need to know. That is so funny.
Now look, we're not from Texas, so don't get it twisted. But we are really, really close.
No Tex in there, Arcana, y'all.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We are on the Arkansas side of Texarkana, so
Okay.
we're not
all
on the
right.
Texas side. So we are from Arkansas, but we actually both have lived all around. Garrett lived in Louisiana for a little while. I lived in Central Arkansas, and then fate just brought us back together. We've been really good friends our whole life, and now we live 2 houses down from each other in Texarkana.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
why aren't y'all recording together? Y'all should be in the same house right now.
Well, we
That's a
did.
story
we used
for
to do it
another
together.
day.
Yeah, that'll take us too long to get into all that. But so let's talk about duck hunting for a little while before we jump off into everything else. So what intrigued you the most about it when you were a young girl going? Because I'm sure you hear it all the time, and this is something else we'll talk about here in a minute. But it's a bunch of guys. Now there's more and more women getting into it. But when you were a little girl, it was probably all guys. You probably never even saw a female until you got older,
Yeah.
out hunting.
I'm really
Yeah.
intrigued to hear this response because I have a 9-year-old, and I'm hoping to take her on her first duck hunt this year.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yes. Yes.
So, honestly, it was just two daughters at the house, and I just loved my dad. He was my best friend, and everything he wanted to do, I wanted to do. So if he was going to duck camp, I was like, hey, you got to bring me with you. And just the idea of eating chocolate at 4 o'clock in the morning and hanging out with my dad and my dog and getting dirty and making noise, I mean, that was just more than I could handle. I was all about it. So I just loved the idea of being out there with my dad. So it did not take much convincing at all to get me to go. I'm the one who asked to go. So he got me a little pair of neoprene waders, and he sat me out on a dog stand to keep me out of the water so I wouldn't get cold. And anyway, I don't know how he put up with it. The patience on his end is remarkable, but he kept taking me. And one thing about my dad that I have really appreciated as I've gotten older is that there was never a time he said, no, you can't go. No, it's just me and the buddies, just for the guys. If he was going, I was more than welcome to come, and that is a huge blessing looking back now as an adult.
Yeah, for sure, because I mean, Garrett's got kids that are really now just getting old enough. Well, his son's not, and I've just got a 1-year-old, so he's not even close to going duck hunting. But my dad took a lot of time taking me as well, but we've also taken other kids, and it's a lot of work. You don't really get to. I don't want to say this the wrong way.
No, absolutely.
You get to enjoy the hunt, but you don't get to enjoy it like without taking a kid, because
It's a lot harder to
it's
take
a lot of
them
work.
than it is not to.
It's a lot of work. So
So
for your
much
dad to
work.
do that just meant, the world. That I'm sure to you and for me and Garrett, we want to take our kids so bad, but man, it's a lot of work to take kids.
It's a lot of work, and that's something I've come to appreciate as an adult. I mean, just taking a dog in itself is a lot of
Yeah.
work. I mean, taking a dog and a kid, I mean, you don't pick up a gun, you're babysitting the whole time. So
A
I,
good
I
dog is hard work. A bad dog is really hard work.
exactly. And whenever I was a young kid, we did not have a great dog either. So my dad's
Yeah.
hands were just tied. But
Well, speaking of dogs, that's a good segue into talking about your dog. You're a golden fan.
I'm a golden girl. That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell us
I've
a little bit
got.
about your dog and how you kind of got into that.
Oh boy. Well, Kate is a COVID puppy. Just to tell you the truth. I was straight out of high school. I was a 2020 senior. So my whole life was just different as I'd ever known it. And I was going to college and I wanted a puppy. And I just remember my childhood dog that I had grown up with was still living with my parents. And I didn't want to take her away from everything she'd ever known because she's older now. And so I was on the hunt for a British lab. I wanted a black female British lab. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I made phone calls all over the country, could not find one. I was offering to ship dogs. Everyone had a wait list because it was COVID. And I get on the
Mm-hmm.
AKC website and I see a picture of this little golden retriever puppy. And I have like roasted people at this age. I was 18 for hunting over golden retrievers. I mean, I was just so, no, I wanted a lab. And then I see this dog and I paid for her within like 15 minutes of seeing her picture for the first time. She was just so cute. So I got my field golden, and she's my best friend. I'm proud of her. She's a good girl, and she comes everywhere with me.
Does she hunt?
Yeah, she hunts. She's a field golden. She'll hunt. She'll hunt the woods. She'll hunt a field. She does better in a field, obviously, than the woods. But she's also a young dog, so we're working on building her confidence. But she'll hunt.
Now you guide, don't you? Do you guide?
This is my first year. I will be guiding, but I will be guiding this year.
Where are you guiding at? Let's plug.
Legacy
Let's plug out there. Put a plug out there.
Let's plug. Y'all book a hunt with me, seriously. Legacy Fowl in Pocahontas, Arkansas. I've been hunting with them for years. A really good friend of mine just invited me on a hunt one day, and they let me tag along. It was so much fun, a great group of guys, and they never just kicked me out. I just kind of became a honorary member, I guess you could say, and I just came and went as I pleased, and it was an awesome time, and we always killed a bunch of ducks. And so by the time I realized that most of the people I hunt with will be working, weekdays, and if I want to hunt all 60, it's hard to have a crew of young kids to run with. So I was like, well, I'll guide during the week instead of hunting the woods. So that's what I'm
Well,
doing.
well, you get us some dates. We might could work something out.
We will
I
work
think that
something
would be.
out.
I think that would be cool for you. The first female on our podcast. We come up there. We shoot some stuff with you.
We
We
should
hunt.
get a little kickback for that.
I don't know about. I don't think she's
I,
trying
I
to.
agree. I agree. Honestly, I can work something out. I will work something out. Don't worry about that.
And if I
Maggie,
bring
I'm
my daughter
excited.
and she gets a good hunt out of it, and you're all about
That's
girls hunting,
I am all about the girls. So that's one thing I have booked almost more girl hunts than anything. Just men wanting to bring their daughters and see other girls do it. So that's
Yeah.
yeah,
that's going to be a
that's
very
pretty cool.
rewarding aspect. Absolutely.
Well, maybe we need to send her a hat, Garrett, and see if she'll sign it and send it back to your daughter. I bet your daughter would just eat that up.
I bet she would.
How
I'm
sweet.
I kind of want it. Will you sign a hat for me?
Y'all give me too much credit. I'm telling you.
Hey,
That's
listen,
so funny.
really, I mean, you don't realize it, or maybe you do, and you're just real humble. And either way, it's fine. But I mean, you're a big deal in the outdoor industry in the waterfowl world. I mean, because, and of course, I don't want to mean this in the wrong way either for people that listen to this, but most women that you used to see in the outdoor industry were more of a tomboy kind of rugged type thing. Not that you're not, but you don't typically see your pageant queen out decked out in camo, shooting ducks, blowing duck calls. So you
She's
broke
a unique
you broke the
individual.
mold. You broke the mold. So that's why it's so
Thank you.
intriguing, I think, you know.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And that was something that I had never seen girls in the outdoors. Period. Growing up, I was 16 before I saw another girl hunting, and I was probably 17 or 18 before I saw a girl that could actually run a duck call. So I mean, it's been I mean, from 10 to 16, that's a big gap of not knowing any females that hunted. So, uh, it it's been really, honestly, just very humbling and rewarding to have girls come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to be like you," because I never really imagined that happening. So it's been a blessing.
So while we're on that subject, when you did the pageant queens and all that, and you became Miss Teen Arkansas, you traveled all over using this platform, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I met with my director the day after I won. He's a man from Kansas City, Missouri, and he was over a directorship, which means that he sends 6 states to Miss Teen USA. He prepares 6 different girls, and he asked me what I wanted to do. And I told him I wanted to promote duck hunting, and he laughed at me. He was like, "Okay, whatever you want to do."
Well,
and I was like,
I
"First
can
of all,
I can almost hear it right now. I
yeah,
wanna promote duck hunting, and this guy was like, "What in the hell have I gotten myself into?"
yeah." Because most of the time the girls that win are from like the Fayetteville area, the Benton area, and I'm like, "You got a girl from the Delta, buckle
They're
You
up,
got
up
the
it
girl
buddy."
from Piggott.
That's
They're
right.
yuppies.
You got you a Piggott
Yeah,
girl.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, definitely mostly yuppie girls, almost exclusively yuppie girls. So anyway, it was a lot of fun, and so he told me just run with it. My year will be as big as I wanted it to be, and so I started just running around to conventions. I went to classrooms, so I just traveled trying to get girls to pick up a duck call.
That's awesome. Well, look,
Thank you.
I want to dive some more into that here in just a second. But as you know, we have to please our sponsors that help us put on this show. So we're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk more about that. And then I also want to talk about your podcast because it's a really good podcast. I know we're on a podcast now, but I listen to yours. I actually listened to your latest episode on my way home from work today. So we're going to talk
Thank
about that
you.
more. But let's
Awesome.
take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have more with Miss Maggie Williams right here on The Blind. All right, well, welcome back to episode 5. It is season 2, and we told you, you may not have believed us, but we told you we were going to come back at season 2 and have some outstanding guests, and here we are with the one and only Maggie Williams. And so, Maggie, let's hop right in. I know you got stuff to do, so we don't want to keep you all night because we could probably talk to you all night. You're a very interesting person, and really, I would love to work out something to come up and hunt because I think you got so much. It's just very intriguing. But let's
Thank
talk
you.
about your podcast.
Okay.
So you got an outdoor podcast,
Yes, sir.
and tell us how it all came about, and then we'll dive into a little more.
So I'll be honest with you. My freshman year of college, where I did go in person, I told my media professor, I want to have a podcast. And he was like, "Okay, girl. Well, I say do it." And I just didn't know where to start, and I just kept saying. I tell everyone that was on my bucket list, one of my ultimate goals, and I just did nothing about it really. And I got a friend named Levi Gerke. He works for Rolling Thunder Game Calls in Somerville, and he's got his podcast called the Goose Gossip Podcast. And he had me as a guest this summer, talking about my turkey season. And afterwards, we wrapped up, and he was like, "That was awesome. You should start your own." And I was like, "Well, thanks, but I don't know how." And he said, "Girl, it is a disservice to you not to." And I was like, "Whatever you say, Girk." And he sent me a list of things on Amazon that I needed to buy. And I spent my last dime as a college kid buying all this podcast equipment. And I called Macy, my friend Macy Watkins, and asked her to be my first guest. And we hit the ground running. We've not slowed down since.
Now you're traveling and you're going in person to everyone, right?
I'm trying to go in person to as many as possible. I've had one guest from the Chesapeake Bay, and it wasn't possible for me to travel to him that week. And I'll have one other guest that I would not be able to travel to because they're just celebrity status. So most people that are, I guess, civilians, I guess to say, I'm going to try to go to. So
You had Hannah Barron.
yes.
You had recently, was it Gale Camp?
Yes, I had Miss Gale recently. She was
That's who
I
I
don't
wanted to
know
talk
if
about.
I have a long lost grandma somewhere, but I need to check my lineage.
I didn't
Talk about
really,
Miss
yeah.
Gale.
So I think Gail could be your grandma for sure.
That might be.
Uh, but Miss Gale,
I
I
don't know if
actually
that's a
work.
compliment.
Well, you both have the last name Camp, but she's a duck calling
Okay.
champion, so
Okay.
that's a
Okay.
Well,
huge compliment.
I'm
he
good with that. Yeah.
he is
She,
not, so she didn't pass it down.
oh
She
well,
got all that.
Gail's
Yeah.
a rock star. She's the
So
coolest woman I've ever met.
yeah,
So
tell us about that because I listened to it and I loved it. She just seemed like the sweetest soul. I mean, which most older little women are. I mean, they're just they're so sweet. Which back then everybody was nice, but the time that
right.
she grew up in, but she just seemed like such a sweet person, and she blew the duck call on the podcast. I mean, it was awesome.
People
Tell us
people like
about it.
that are just like the salt of the earth. Like I just
Absolutely.
love those type of people.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I've got a whole story about Miss Gale that actually went down today. But so Miss Gale, I reached out to her daughter. I saw the video that Coach Strickland posted of her blowing her duck call. And I did some research and I realized she was in Memphis. And I was like, I've got to meet this woman. So I started doing some research. I found her daughter. I reached out to her daughter, Ann, and I was like, Ann, I'd love to interview your mom. And she said, come on over to Memphis anytime. So I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And they let me show up the next day. It was awesome. And I brought my golden retriever, Kate. Miss Gale used to hunt over golden retrievers. So
yeah.
she's a woman after my own heart. And she cried whenever she met Kate. It just brought tears to her eyes. She was so emotional because she wished she still had a field golden.
Yeah.
And, she just wished she had a companion. And I talked to Ann afterwards, and I was like, Ann, you got to get your mom a dog. And she just told me, she's like, well, she can't have a puppy, but we don't want a geriatric dog that, she won't outlive. We can't have
Yeah.
that either and break her
Yeah.
heart. And it's just going to be hard to find a mature, obedience-trained golden retriever that doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you give me full permission to find your mom a dog? And she was like, knock yourself out. Within 24 hours, y'all, I found a dog. I found a 5-year-old
Wow.
golden, a woman named Jacqueline. I think it was Hillside Golden Retrievers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was called. Don't catch me lying. But they were in McCook, Nebraska. I told her, I'll come get that dog. And she was like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'll drive. I do the math, and it is 17 hours one way.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
I mean, I will go get this dog. I'm committed at this point. I mean, if Miss Gale wants a golden, I will go get Miss Gale a golden. At 98, she deserves to have a dog. So anyway, I am posting on Facebook about this whole adventure in the Facebook group that I sought out this dog in. Saying, hey, update, I found Miss Gale a dog. Thanks for helping. And a man named Mr. Steve Hall comments below. And he was like, hey, I'm in Nebraska. Can I cut this trip in half for you? And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. I have got an angel. So he met me in Kansas City today. So that's why I've been on the road all day long. I left my house at 4 o'clock, went to Kansas City, came straight back, and the dog's at my house right now. She is just living life. So tomorrow I'm taking
Oh
this
my
dog
gosh.
to Miss Gale.
That's a great story.
Did you
Thanks.
document the whole thing? Like, did you carry a
Yes.
camera with you and everything? Because that would
My
be a
phone.
great video itself. I mean,
I brought
and
my
just
phone.
the whole
I didn't-
story of doing this.
Absolutely. I wish I could have had a film crew, but it's just the middle of the week.
Yeah.
And so I work from my phone. That's all I do is my social media marketing. So I'm a student. So I was just, this is the day that he could meet me. So I just dropped everything and ran to KC.
Well, speaking of social media marketing, are you are you for hire?
I was, and then I'll be honest with you, I was seeking out clients, and then this
Then you got
podcast
too busy.
took off, and I've just been
Yeah.
like, okay, I gotta dial in on my own stuff. But I'm flattered that you'd ask.
Well, if you ever get back in the market again, that you're taking clients, make sure you call us.
I will. Don't worry.
Because we are actually throwing the idea around. I mean, we need a little help on the marketing side, and so maybe we could just work out something with you. You'll give us a few tips because you're killing it.
Well, thank you.
You are absolutely killing it.
I will give you all the tips. Anything you need to
She's
know.
got
I'll
all
tell
the
you.
algorithms figured out.
Oh wow. Oh man. Well,
Hey,
that's
look at her.
one place
Yeah.
that we do not. We struggle with the algorithms.
Hey, they're teaching good stuff at Arkansas State. I'm telling you. They
I
got all the
hear ya.
good info. Yep.
Well,
So
I'm a little too old to go back to school, but I'll pay somebody to give me the tips.
Well, I'm telling you, that's a great investment. I know several people that would actually do it, and I'll send you their info after this.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, hey,
Yes, sir.
let's talk about one of your best friends, or maybe your best friend.
Okay.
You've had her on the show. You talk about her all the time. Let's talk about her. She's not here with us, so introduce who your best friend is, because she's a pretty big deal too.
Yes, but now my best friend is a big deal. I will never proclaim to be, but I will definitely say Macy's a huge deal. My best friend in the world is Macy Watkins. You've heard of her if you have a cell phone. She catches big bass. She is a trout fisherwoman, overall rock star.
So you're the duck hunter. She's the fisher woman.
That's right.
And I saw her not long ago fishing with Bill Dance.
So Bill is like her papa. I'm telling
man.
you, she has Bill on speed dial. She's fished with Bill multiple times. She's gone to Bill's personal pond and fished it.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, she caught
Yeah,
her
that's a big deal.
PR, like a 7-pounder, in Bill's backyard. I mean, they are just thick as thieves. It's so cute. But yeah, Macy, she does it all.
So let's talk about your podcast a little more. I mean, without letting anything out that you can't, unless you want to let it out here first. But what's
Okay.
to come on the podcast? You got big plans or anything that we really need to be, letting people know that's coming? Or
I do. I've got some big plans. I've actually created a little studio at duck camp. So during duck season, obviously traveling to my guests is just not going to be obtainable. So I'm going to hopefully have some folks just come in there and after we hunt, recap the hunt, maybe do some little virtuals. But it's got a cute little studio I've worked really hard on, and I've got some pretty big guests that I'm looking forward to. So y'all stay tuned for that.
well, you've already had some pretty good guests. You had
Yeah,
the Duck
yeah.
Commander guys on there. Of course, you had Macy on there, Miss Gail, and who am I missing? I've listened to every episode, but
Hannah
yeah,
Barron.
Hannah, yep,
Luke McFadden from the Chesapeake Bay. He
that's right.
was
Yep.
fabulous. So he was just featured, I think, in the Washington Post. Like they did
Oh wow.
they did a huge article on him. So he's actually become a friend of mine, and he wants to come down to Arkansas and duck hunt. So it's been cool to create relationships with people and be able to document that where it is born and share it with the world, and then harbor those relationships.
Absolutely. So, well, look, let's talk about some more. Well, let's take another short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the famous people that you've been hanging around with and that you get to meet, because I want to know who the most famous person is. So you think about it while we take this commercial break. The most famous. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more from Maggie Williams right here live on The Blind. Well, it was a short break, but we are right back here with Miss Maggie Williams, all the way from Arkansas.
Jonesboro.
Are you in
Arkansas.
Jonesboro? Okay, I couldn't remember. Are you in Jonesboro? Now, where
I
did you
am.
say it was from? Pickett?
I'm Piggott. Piggott.
Piggott. Okay.
Yep.
Now, where exactly did you tell me that was? How far
It's in-
outside of?
It's in Clay County. So Piggott is 2
Okay.
hours north of Memphis.
Okay.
Not too far from
Extreme
Dyersburg.
northeast Arkansas.
Yeah, it is northeast Arkansas, the most northeast point in Arkansas.
Kind of like
And it-
we are down here in the West, as far as you can get.
Yeah, literally, that is a perfect example.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we do need to make that happen. You know, from each side of the state. You know, that would be a great combination. We get together, we do a hunt. We'll have more with you. Do it live and film it in the field. I think that would be awesome.
I think that'd be very cool. Absolutely.
So before we went to that last commercial break, we wanted to know who the most famous person was that you've met so far. Now, you don't have to be friends with them. Maybe you've just
Oh.
talked to them or you've met. But well, let's do both. Most famous
Okay.
person you've ever met.
Oh, Oh, that's hard. Probably Patrick Mahomes,
Ooh,
or
that's a pretty big
like
one.
he's a big one. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is probably the biggest, but like Morgan
Especially,
Wallen
especially after the next Netflix special.
after the Netflix special. I'll
Is
be
there
honest
one on
with you.
Patrick
You haven't
Mahomes?
watched that?
I don't.
Yeah, the one on
I don't
Patrick
watch.
Mahomes.
I don't watch TV. I don't.
She don't have time to
She
watch
doesn't have
TV.
time. She's
I
doing
didn't
That's
know they
right.
had
interviews
it.
like this.
I know they had a special on Patrick, but very well deserving. He and Brittany are very kind folks.
So you
So
said Morgan Wallen. Are you friends with Morgan?
I've met Morgan very briefly.
Okay. Okay.
I met a couple rappers in New York when I was like 17. It wasn't ASAP Rocky, maybe ASAP Ferg, maybe. I'm not a big huge
We're too
rap
old.
fan.
We don't even know who that is. Yeah, we're not
But
rap fans anymore. We used to be at college.
yeah, well, I'm trying to think. I've met several famous folks. Riley Green, um, you know, Macy's pretty famous.
Macy's pretty famous.
Cy Robertson, he's up there on the list. I've met
He's
Sheryl
pretty
Crow.
famous. Yeah.
I mean, I lived down the road from Sheryl Crow growing up, so
So
met a lot of
other
famous
than
folks.
Macy, who would you say is the most famous person in your contacts right now on your phone?
Ooh, in my contacts, probably Justin Martin and John Godwin, the Duck
That's pretty good.
Commanders.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's a lot better than my phone.
I'm
Garrett's
trying to
Garrett's the
think.
most famous person
Mine's
I
is
got in my
Maggie
phone.
Williams.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, probably the Duck Commanders. Those are probably the most famous people on my phone.
So how was that going up there? I mean, we talked to John Godwin at the Delta Expo. We had him on the show with us. But
Did you?
we did. We love those guys, and we had him on there with us. Great guy. But Cy was probably on another level, wasn't he? I mean, how awesome was that?
It was awesome, and I know John. I've hunted with John before, so I love Godwin. He's the one who made it all happen, so I owe it all to him. He is just an angel. And so I've met Justin at Bassmaster Classic with Macy in Knoxville Springs. So I already knew Justin, and I met him very briefly. And so I got to know him a little bit better, got to hang out with John, and I met Cy. And I'm telling you, Cy and his energy is just through the roof. If I could have Cy Robertson introduce me everywhere I went, I would. He made me feel like $1 million. He just kept hyping me up on the podcast. It was hilarious.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of your podcast, that light that you have, that neon light that has your show name on it. Where did you get that at? We need one of those.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah,
I will send. I just got it
we're
on the
just getting
internet.
all kinds of stuff from her today. I mean, just links and contacts and everything. She's going to send us marketing people and just.
I'll teach
What
you
else?
everything I know.
That's right. Well, before we get done tonight, that's what we want. We want to know
Okay.
everything that you know.
All right. That's fair. I'll tell you anything I know.
So, what's coming on the Maggie Williams podcast?
Oh boy, what's coming? I'm trying to think of it.
What's coming down the road? What can at least you tell? I know you don't want to let it all out of the bag.
I'll let this one out. Eva Shockey. She's gonna be up next pretty soon. Not
That'd be
my
a big one.
not my next podcast, but she's very close. On the calendar, I should say. So that's
Awesome.
That's a big one. I've got several other big names as well, but Eva's not really a surprise. I've kind of posted about how I've looked up to her growing up, and so everyone has been saying, get Eva on there. So I'm excited to have her on.
Well, and that's something
So-
else I wanted to ask you is who kind of you look up to in the outdoor industry, either a man or a woman.
Right. I would say in the industry, as a female, it will be Eva, just because growing up, she was the only woman that, was feminine, or even the only woman, period. But she
Yeah.
was a beautiful display of that feminine and, I don't want to say masculine, but tough balance. She was hunting, but she had big game. I didn't know a single other girl that did waterfowl. So I loved looking up to Eva growing up. She was the it girl on the scene whenever I was really young. I wrote a letter to her whenever I was like 12, and she wrote one back. So that was really cool. So it'll be exciting to have her on there. And I guess the male that I look up to the most would be Spencer Halford with Rolling Thunder. Spencer has been an awesome mentor to me. He's just really taught me a lot, and he is just a kind friend. So I really look up to Spencer. He's done awesome things with his business.
Well, you tell Spencer that we want to have him on the show. I've talked to
Okay.
him a couple. I've talked to him a couple times. He agreed to come on, but at the time we were trying to hook it up, he was busy. But we want to revisit that again. So you tell him we said he doesn't know who we are, but you tell him we said we want to have him on the show.
I will
Maybe
tell
your
Spence.
star status can hook us up.
I love how y'all are saying star status. Y'all can introduce me anywhere I go, then that's awesome. Thanks. But
Absolutely. Well,
yeah,
you let us know your next event, and we'll come introduce you.
how about y'all come to live at the shop at Somerville?
That
We've
that
got
may be what we need to do next.
Now,
they've
what is
got
that?
so at the Rolling Thunder shop in Somerville, they've got live at the shop on Thursday nights, and they've got
Eh,
several events there. But they'll have performers come, and you can come blow
mhm,
duck
mhm.
calls, hang out with the shop dogs. That's what the boys call themselves, the outdoor shop dogs,
Yeah.
and just figure out what calls you like and listen to some great music.
Well, Rolling
Yeah.
Thunder, they're hot right now. They've got it. They've got it going on. And speaking of hot brands, you're a fan of one of the brands that we're associated with. So we were up at Memphis a few weeks ago at Shin,
Oh yeah,
and we were talking to them all in there, and they said, "Well, who y'all gonna have on? We don't really know. You know, we've got some good guests lined up and all." And one of them said, "Well, I'll tell you who you need to have on." We said, "Who?" They said, "Maggie Williams. If you get
which
Maggie Williams on, we will watch that."
It was
oh
was it Jesse or was it Morgan? One of them.
I
I
think it
can't
was
remember.
Morgan.
It may have been Morgan, but
Morgan, I love Morgan. I'm a huge Morgan fan,
oh
but
yeah,
they're good people. I've been hunting with Grayson Morris. We call him Greyhound. He recently got a job there. Devlin's great. I've been on the phone with Devlin just about his business and opportunity. Devlin's kind of been coaching me through some things here lately. He's awesome. Byron's great. Carter's great. Dylan is awesome. I've been goose hunting with Dylan here lately. And Dylan, have y'all seen his just awesome lanyard just full of bands?
Full of bands.
Well,
Yeah.
this man has an air tag on his lanyard. Like that is the level I'm trying to be. So many
yeah.
bands, you need an air tag to keep up with it.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're awesome guys. So I'm glad you brought that up. They are super good folks.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes Shin so great is all the people behind it. But you've got an opportunity to wear their waders and all. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I really enjoy wearing shin waders. They're great. They're very comfortable. I got a pair the first year they came out actually. And
Same.
I got to wear them at White Oaks, and I'm telling you, that was really cool. That was
You
a
always
bucket
got
list
to one. You
item.
always got to one up us. You had to take it to White Oaks.
I'm telling you, that was a bucket list hunt, so it was really cool. But yeah, they're great waders made by great people.
Well, we may need to have you back on here again when we have Morgan and Jesse. We told them that we wanted to. You know, everybody wants to have the Shin guys on.
Right.
And maybe I'm telling off on myself now, but we have planned to do an all women's show and have the ladies behind Shin and let them tell their side of the story.
That is a great idea because the women at Shin are just as awesome as the guys at Shin.
So
They
all I
are.
ask is that you don't do it before we do it.
Yeah, that's fine. You guys can have that, but I will be your biggest. I'll be on Facebook Live watching because they are super awesome ladies up there. So that's exciting. Good idea.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, as we don't have. Here I go again. The clout that you do. I mean, you have a really big following. We don't have that, so we're trying to do some things outside of the box and have people that we want to have on, but that are interesting and not your just everyday. I mean, I can go down the street and we can find somebody to talk duck hunting with, but we want to have people on that people want to hear from that you don't normally get to talk to every day, just like you.
Oh well, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, but having those ladies on is a great idea. So I'm not going to steal the idea, but I'll be excited to watch it when it comes out. So kudos
Awesome.
to y'all for thinking of that.
And speaking of Shin, are you going to the film festival? Are you going to be able to fit that in your schedule?
I will be. I'll be there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Garrett and I, if everything works out, we're going to come up. And,
Okay. So I'll shake
we may
your
even
hand
bring
in person.
our podcast stuff. We may have you on there again with them. How about that?
Oh, that would be so fun. Yeah.
That
count me
seems
in
like the
for
perfect
sure.
place to do it.
That may
If
be.
everybody's already there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Morgan, Jesse, you heard it here. If you didn't, we'll clip this out and send it to you. But we are coming for you at the film festival. Everybody listening, expect it. We're putting it out.
Well, hey, that's a great opportunity to meet Spence and ask Spence to be on because I'll be at
That's
their
right.
table. I'll be
Awesome.
there with the Rolling Thunder Boys. So I'll introduce y'all to Spence while we're there. How about that?
Awesome, awesome. And speaking of Rolling Thunder, I mean, we don't hold back on this podcast. We don't feel like we're not even in competition with people like you and Rolling Thunder. We're so small. But I mean, we love their podcast as well. Listen to it all the time. And I don't know, we're just not one of those people. I mean, we don't try to talk bad about other podcasts or
There's
other
room
shows.
enough
I mean,
for everybody.
That's right. There's plenty of room
Absolutely.
out there for podcasts.
Yeah.
So we try to throw a plug whenever we can. So if you're looking for another good podcast, not only do you need to go listen to Maggie's podcast, because it is really good, but something that the Rolling Thunder guys do that I really enjoy is they don't even have to have a guest on there. They're just entertaining in themselves. Garrett and I
They
are
are
not. We have to have a
storytellers.
guest. we have to have a
Whatever.
guest. We're not interesting enough. We don't have enough story. Well, we do, but we couldn't put it out on Facebook. But you know, they're just so entertaining. They really are. They're all so different that it's funny. It's so funny.
They are all different, and they are super good guys in person, just like they seem like on the podcast. They are awesome men to know and to be around, and they are so entertaining. I'm glad you said that. I was not a podcast fan until like 2021, and the first podcast I ever listened to was the Rolling Thunder podcast. So they are very entertaining guys. They're great guys, and I'm friends with all of the guys at the shop. So it's cool to listen to them and then ask them in person. Tell me about that store a little bit more. But yeah, they are really cool guys, and they've got a great podcast.
Well, it's kind of like you. They're kind of in the same boat. I mean, it's just genuine. Like when we talk to you now or we listen to your podcast, it's just genuine. You're not trying to put on a big performance of something that you're not. That's kind of how we feel about them too. I mean, they just get on there and they just talk. They're just naturally, they're kind of like Cy, they're just naturally funny
They're
people
gifted.
and but they're all so different individuals that they could just get on there and shoot the breeze and it's good entertainment.
Yeah, I've had a couple of the boys give me some coaching on my podcast skills because they're just good. They are naturally
Yeah.
good at it. And in the
They are.
beginning, it was kind of hard. I got a little bit nervous, but I mean, listening to them podcast they are phenomenal.
Garrett, you look like you were going to say something there.
I was going to shift gears a little bit.
All
Let's
right,
shift gears a little
let's
bit.
Shift them. Let's shift them.
So, being that we all love waterfowl hunting so much, let's talk a little bit about waterfowl and duck hunting.
Why
Okay.
not?
Okay.
So, I was reading the magazine, the Greenhead magazine that came out. I don't know if you get that. It's awesome. That's another plug if
I
anybody
bet
wants
she
a good
got
magazine.
at least one copy.
I'm
The
telling
Greenhead
you,
magazine is awesome.
my mom has got several copies framed. Okay, yeah, I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of that.
Did you
Well,
sign
you're
one?
famous there from 2021, correct?
Thank you. I wouldn't say famous, but I was the first female on the cover of Greenhead magazine, so that was a very, very big honor, and that's something I'm very proud of. So
Once again, just breaking barriers.
thank you.
So I saw a question in there I wanted to pose to you, and it said, if you could change one thing about duck hunting, what would it be? Putting you on the spot.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I figure with your pageant background, you could take some Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take the heat, boys. Absolutely. One thing about duck hunting that I wish I could change, honestly, just the overcrowding of WMAs. It's a huge problem. I wish I could just change people publicizing the names of WMAs. It's one thing I cannot stand. And the commercialization of duck hunting, I mean, I have contributed to it, as to anyone who is making money off of it. It is awesome to encourage people to hunt. I'm a huge advocate for taking new hunters, but I think just putting hunting on social media and name dropping, I can't stand that because you'll have 100 boats at a boat ramp and off of he said, she said, and it causes a mess, and it'll cause just a bunch of overcrowding that is just unnecessary.
That's pretty much been known in duck hunting forever, though. It's like you don't tell where you hunt, right?
I thought
Well,
that.
unless
I thought
you're
everybody
unless
knew
you-
that.
Unless you're making money off of it, then they want people to know.
I mean,
So I think
I
that's where the
make money
problem
off
kind of
of
comes
it,
in.
and my lips are sealed. I
That's
mean,
right.
you can't waterboard that information out of me, because I will not have a hunting group with. If I tell on Sunday where I hunted, I will be hunting solo on Monday for sure. So that's one thing I wish I could change. But duck hunters, as a general rule, are great people, and it's a great sport. So I mean, there's not a whole lot to change. It's not perfect by any means, and there's always room for improvement. And as duck hunting evolves, obviously the problems will evolve as well. But that's just my personal pet peeve about change.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, some of the other things they said was like nothing battery powered. That was one of them. No battery powered things
I
in
mean,
duck hunting.
I hunt the woods, so that wouldn't affect me at all. I mean, this is my first year. I'll be hunting heavily in the field, so I mean, mojos have their place. Motion ducks, I'm sure. I mean, they're whenever I hunt the field, they're great, but that wouldn't
So are
change
you a
my
jerk
life.
string girl or
I am a jerk.
mojo or what?
I mean, in the woods, like, you got to be a jerk string girl. You know, I can't afford a ticket, so I'm 100% a jerk string girl for sure.
Well, look, before we get into kind of our final segment, we're going to take one more short break. When we come back, we kind of like to have our final segment of the night. We call it the final flight. And so we're going to come back. We got some more questions for you. We're going to hit the final flight and have one more good couple minutes of Q&A with Miss Maggie Williams when we come back from this short commercial break. Well, welcome back to The Blind. It's episode 5 of season 2. We've got our extra special guest, the first ever female duck hunter on The Blind, Miss Maggie Williams, with us tonight. An Arkansas native right here in the great old state of Arkansas. So Maggie, we appreciate you taking the time off of your online studies to talk with us tonight on The Blind.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, so before we let you go, we got some questions for you.
Okay.
So and it's just, I mean, nothing hard. We're not gonna quiz you like you're like in the pageants. You know, they try to ask you some crazy hard question. You know, you got to really think about. But let's just talk about duck hunting a little bit more. What's your favorite duck? Your favorite duck to kill?
I feel like this is a no-brainer. I mean, obviously mallard drake. I mean,
Gotta be.
And everybody
Gotta be.
says that. Every now and then we have some people that throw a kink in there, but most people.
I mean, hunting in the woods, nothing's better than a greenhead.
When she said it's a no-brainer, I just knew she was going to say a spoonie.
Ouch! Is that what you think of me, Garrett?
Garrett, yep,
Straight to
yep.
the heart.
Yeah.
So if you tune in next week to The Blind, myself and my co-host Maggie Williams, Garrett Camp will no longer be a part of the show.
You just dropped me like that? That fast?
I mean, Maggie just, she kicked you out
10 years
there
of hunting, podcasting, all this, and you just dropped me like that. 48 minutes in.
Well, I tried to. Maggie sent me a message earlier and asked me if I could get rid of you at minute 2, but I told her I was like, nah, I couldn't do
We
that.
better keep
She
him
was
on a
just
little
like-
longer. That's fine. That's fine.
But
It's
no, let's take that a step further. Other than the mallard, okay? Because of course, I mean, Garrett, me and him have hunted together long enough, and it's been more than 10 years. You're getting old, but man, I'm so obsessed with mallard ducks, with mallard drakes. Not even just mallard ducks, mallard drakes. I'm so obsessed with them that I don't even want to see anything else. And Garrett's giving me a hard time a few years back. I mean, it was all about the mallards. I would rather kill 4 mallards than 20 of anything else. And that's just the way I am. But if you couldn't kill a mallard, what's next?
A black duck or a pintail.
Oh,
That's a
Yeah.
bucket list for me.
It is.
Black duck.
we
Yeah.
don't
You
kill
ever
many
seen a black
black ducks down here. Do
No,
y'all
we
kill
don't
many?
get any.
I
Down
mean, we
here in
don't get it.
South, we don't get many.
I don't
It's
think
a
I've ever
sweet
even
little.
seen one in person.
What? I mean,
No.
we don't. They're few and far between. It's like a little treat, you know. It's just like a
Yeah.
very special thing to kill in the woods. I mean, they're not. They're not plentiful by any means. That we do have black ducks. We'll see several die every year.
Well, there are some places where they shoot a lot of black ducks. I mean, I didn't know that. I thought they were kind of scarce everywhere, but there are some places where they kill tons of them.
If you get farther east, I've seen several die, like multiple die in a day in Alabama. I've also seen several die at Reelfoot Lake, hunting off Reelfoot. I mean, we've killed like several in one day. We were, the big luxury blinds. That's cool
Cooking
hunting.
breakfast in the back.
Yeah, it's unreal. That was like nothing I'd ever seen. I was like 19 experiencing that for the first time, and then we killed several black ducks, and I was like, this is better than Christmas.
That's awesome. I want one to put on the wall. I really do.
Yeah,
I'd
me
love
too.
to.
Hey, I got another question for you. So, what's your favorite type of setting to duck hunt in? You mentioned that you hunt timber a lot. We're all from Arkansas. We all get to hunt timber, and there's something special about that. Which one's your favorite? I think it's timber. Is that right?
I had never even hunted in a field till I was 17 years old. My dad is
Yeah.
an exclusive timber hunter. We were not farmers. We were not in a duck club. I mean, we were just hunted the woods. Is all I've ever known growing up. So I
What
love
is it to
hunting
you
the
that
woods.
makes the timber so special?
Oh, I love everything about it. First of all, it's so beautiful. And I'm young and I'm silly. So I love just the boat races. It's really cool to ride in them. I don't race myself. I've got bad eyes and that makes me nervous. So I like to lay in the boat whenever we're racing and someone else is driving. I just love being a part of that. Being up early, just the culture, the old heads with the great stories. I've got several neighbors that have just seen it all, and so getting to talk to them is awesome. But just the culture, it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful hunting destination in the whole world to me.
Yeah, it's just
Agreed.
something about it. I mean, not only the visual side of it, but I mean, it's so close, up close and personal. I mean, the ducks get closer to you. You can see them better. I mean, it's I don't know. It's just it's a different angle. It's almost like looking from above. Down on something. I mean, it's all about the angle.
It's so much closer, and like I said, I've got bad eyes. So being in the woods and being so close, it's a huge blessing. It's a lot of fun, and it's the most beautiful show on earth, I think.
So, what's your favorite duck call to blow? I think I've heard you answer this before. I think you answered it on the podcast with Miss Camp. But what's your favorite duck call to blow?
I have an Ebonite Rolling Thunder Brute XLS, and I'm just going to tell you right now, it is fire. It is super reactive. It's a great call. I love it.
Awesome, awesome. And so, if you had your choice out hunting, would you prefer the rice field hunting over the timber if you killed more ducks, or would you take 4 in the timber all day? 20 in the field or 4 in the timber?
4 in the timber. 4 in the timber for
That's
sure.
what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
what I'm talking about.
Seeing them float in the woods is different. I mean, the rice fields are so much fun, but yeah, in the woods all day, every day.
All right, I got one. Coffee or Red Bull?
I think it's
I
Red
am
Bull.
Uh-oh, she's a
a
Red
Red
Bull
Bull
energy
girl.
drink.
That's what I'm
really,
talking about.
I need to calm down, really. But I also drink coffee. I grew up drinking black coffee because that's what my granny drank. So if you didn't like it black, you didn't drink coffee. And I've
That's
evolved
right.
to Red Bulls. So
I think I'm just addicted to caffeine. So anything. I mean,
Anything that gets you going at
if
4
I
a.m.
can have
is-
coffee in this hand and a Red Bull in this one, I'm good to go.
You know what gets
Me
Brian going
too.
at 4 a.m. is donuts.
I'm a
Not
Debbie
just
Cake
any
girl.
donuts. Not just any donuts. Now we've got a place down here
Special
that'll fry
gas
these
station.
donuts in a gas station, and
Nice.
they're crispy, like they got a little crisp to them. Oh, they're good. They're good. But
Whenever
nonetheless,
I come to the film festival, can y'all bring me a box of donuts?
we
I'll
will.
Venmo
We will
you.
bring
I'm
you a box
serious.
of gas station donuts.
That would make me so happy. That'd be
We'll
cool.
make sure we bring you some.
I'm
Well, look, Maggie,
serious.
before we get you off here, we know it's getting dark. You got to get out of the truck, go inside. You've had a long trip. But like we said, you really are breaking barriers with what you're doing. And I know you may not feel that way, but you really are. And so if you could tell other women, whether it's in the outdoor industry or maybe they just want to get into hunting, or maybe it's a little girl out there that just like Garrett's little girl that wants to hunt with daddy. I mean, what kind of advice do you give them?
My advice is to never be afraid and never listen to anyone that says, girls don't belong in the woods. From a very young age, I've experienced men saying, oh, I know your place. That's not really a girl thing. And my dad just raised me saying, it wasn't, you can't do that because you're a girl. It was, because you're a girl, you can do anything. So, he just raised me to keep up with him in the woods and try my hardest. And so, no matter what you pursue, if it's hunting or anything else, I just think you should give it 100% all the time. And, just don't be afraid, don't back down, and hang in there.
I think that's pretty good advice.
I love it.
Not just for women, but for men too.
That's
It kind of got
advice
me
for
fired
me
up
as a
there.
dad.
Like I feel like I just want to get up and go do something inspiring.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks.
Well, Garrett, you got anything else for Maggie? We got to get her off here. I'm sure she's tired from all that driving.
I don't think so. So I had one quote that I wanted to leave everybody with from Maggie, and she kind of summed it up a little bit there. But this is from that magazine in 2021. She said, there's a time and a season for all things in life, but whatever life may bring during that season, pursue it with restless persistence, whether it be ducks, a crown, or any other goal. I thought that was pretty awesome.
I think that pretty sums it up there, doesn't it?
Thank you. Thanks for quoting me on that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Maybe I need a framed one of those at my house too, because I need to look at that every day before I walk out of the door. Have you ever thought about being a speaker?
I mean, I was a semi-public
Motivational?
speaker. Not
Motivational speaker?
motivational.
I think you are.
Well, thank you. I'll stick to the podcasts and TikToks for now, but thank you. That's very flattering.
Well, Maggie, it was a pleasure to talk with you. We follow you on social media and see you all the time, but it was a pleasure to personally get to talk to you. And we wish you all the best with your podcast. We will promote it as much as we can. We think you're a really, 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 really good person from meeting you, and just, you're a very genuine person. So we would love to help. You're not going to get much help from us, but we would love to help you as much as we can.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. And if I can ever return the favor, if I can help you in any way, I'd love to. You guys have been so nice and so hospitable on this podcast, been so welcoming, and I've really enjoyed our time together. So this has been one for the books. I appreciate you guys for allowing me to be the first girl.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being on.
Yep, and we'll definitely get with you. Garrett, get with her. Well, let's try to get a hunt together this year. We'll see if we can work that out.
I need some social media tips too.
Yeah. We got tons of questions. When we get off of here, yeah, we got. You said if there's anything, there is something.
Well, it'll charge you some gas station donuts. That's what my rate is right now. So
2 dozen.
2 dozen. Deal. You got a deal.
Well, look, before we get off here, we want to say a special thanks to all of the sponsors that help us put this show on. Amazing outdoor products. We like to surround ourselves with people with the products that we use, and not just any old body. So we appreciate all of our sponsors that make this happen each and every week. And a big shout out to, now Maggie, I'm not running all of this from my computer. All Garrett and I do is just sit here and talk. We've got a producer. His name is Cam, and he is at his home. He's running all of this off of his computer, the commercials, the everything. That's who you heard the voice when we got on here earlier. But want to give a big shout out to Cam. Everybody make sure you go follow him on social media as well. And, man, he's one heck of a producer, and we couldn't do it each and every week without him. So we appreciate him. And, again, just a big shout out to all of our sponsors here on Season 2. It was unbelievable, but our season 1 sponsors actually wanted to come back and do it again with us this year. So we appreciate them for showing back up and making this all possible. And we're going to have some of those guys on, and gals from those brands from our sponsors as well. So, Maggie, it was a pleasure. Will you come back on again sometime?
Absolutely. You tell me when.
All right. Well, we appreciate it very much. And everybody go over, tell them what social media you're on and where they can find you.
I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you can find me at the Maggie Williams on all of it. So just check me out. I'm doing a lot of exciting stuff. So just as these guys are as well. So thank you guys so
And
much.
where's your podcast?
The Maggie Williams podcast.
The Maggie Williams podcast, and it's on all platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere.
Apple, Spotify, anywhere you can stream anywhere you can stream a podcast, you can stream the Maggie Williams podcast.
Well, if you're looking for a good podcast, we hope that you go and like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to your podcast at. Make sure you like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well. And also, Garrett likes to do some stuff on TikTok. I'm not a TikToker, but he is, so he likes TikTok. But Garrett, Garrett does a great job with that TikTok. But make sure you go and follow Maggie Williams all over social media. Trust me, you won't regret it. She puts out great stuff, and her adventures just make
Even
me and
if you're
Garrett
looking
seem
for a
real
dog,
old.
she might even drive 17 hours for you.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Just never know.
But look, we want to hear an update from you on Miss Gail getting that dog. So make sure you stay in touch. Give us an update.
I'll text y'all a video tomorrow. How about that?
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Make sure you go over the Maggie Williams podcast wherever you like your podcast. So that'll do it for episode 5 right here on The Blind. We appreciate you. We'll actually be back next week. So next week, we're going to be here every week throwing you a show out, and we hope that you tune in. Maggie, again, it was a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Maggie.
Yes, sir.